I know you guys love panels, and one of the things that, for me, when there's panels taking place is you want them to be engaging, you want them to be interesting, you want them to be controversial. So, oh, we got 30 minutes, not 20 minutes, that's great. So with this unique group of people today, what we're going to be is we're going to have a little bit of controversy, a little bit of disagreement. We're going to have a little bit of education, and I think also to have takeaways for all of you so that when you leave or you know, when this panel ends, at least you'll have learned something interesting. Also, I'm going to be jumping out into the audience at some point and taking some questions. So please think about something that you want to ask. You can ask any of the panelists anything that you want. Of course, they can decline to answer, right, Jakob? Right, okay. So without further ado, let us start. And let's start by introducing the panel here today. Mr. Yu.
Hi everyone, my name is Junde. I'm from Akamai. I am from Singapore, and for the past 8 years I lived and worked in China, and then I just moved back. And so, anyone knows Akamai here? All right, thank you. So Akamai, we are the global biggest and most accurate authoritative provider of market data for the app stores. Simply put, we provide not just data analytics on your own apps, but every app in the world. Every app in the world, we can tell you downloads, revenues, demographics, cross-app usage, active users, and so on. So this helps companies to make decisions based on data, rather than guessing what countries are big, which competitors, how big they're doing. It's all available data.
Hi. My time is probably too long. My name is O. I work for Mono Group. Mono Group is basically divided into two types of business. One is the technology content business, and the other one is the media entertainment business, right? So basically, we have everything from OTT business, VAS service, operator-based business, to TV channels, radio, magazines, and all that. So I'll tell you more later.
Hi everyone, Vincent from Akamai. You know, if you guys don't know who Akamai is, we basically deliver 30% of the world's internet. You know, from accelerating your web, mobile, taking your security, and all doing a lot of the video deliveries for high-profile events such as Olympics, NFL. We did, you know, Cricket World Cup as well. So, you know, I'm hoping to be able to share a lot of the data points that, you know, we see by touching a lot of different things from apps to web, digital media-related stuff, including media. So, hope to be able to entertain you today and answer any questions.
Okay, now the young guy on the stage.
Thank you, Ronen.
Have you hit puberty yet?
Oh, next year. Next year.
Okay, good.
I am Jakob Lykkegaard. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Playlab. We are one of the biggest mobile game developers in the region, with offices here in Bangkok, where we started out, and also in Manila. That's pretty much it.
So Jakob, I understand you actually started working when you were 17 years old. Is this correct?
Actually, when I was 12.
When you were 12?
I was not allowed to work, so I convinced my sister to take a job on a newspaper route that I could deliver instead and make the money.
So you paid her a commission for delivery?
10%.
10%. Okay, at least, I mean, if you went 30, you would have been like an app store already, right?
Exactly.
Okay, good, interesting. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know Jakob. He's a familiar face here in Thailand, having been one of the founders of Playlab. Can you tell us a little bit about the success of, you know, I mean, basically the roadmap that you took to get where you are today, and, you know, just kind of some of the key highlights and learnings about, you know, basically monetization and building an app to be successful?
I can try to give you a quick recap of the last 4 years at Playlab. It started out being Pocket Playlab. We started by taking over a company of 15 guys, me and my partner Thomas. We had no experience in games. We had no idea how to do games. We knew the business side, we knew the data, but games were something that we had to learn, and we started from day one with 15 guys. We did a game that was really crappy called Trash the Teacher. It was, yeah, we actually taken it off the stores now because we're not too proud of it. Second title, we were figuring out, okay, this freemium thing is something new. We should do a freemium game. So we took a premium game and we copied it and made it free. Spent $40,000 in advertisement on it for actually doing charting, so like jumping up of the charts. Lost $40,000, got a lot of good reviews and happy players, but no monetizing, like it didn't monetize whatsoever. And that was where we learned kind of the hard way that you really need to, throughout the game, monetize the user at several occasions, not just one single purchase point, but several purchase points throughout time. And that was when we came up with Juice Cubes. That was the match 3 title. Juice Cubes has today, it completely took off. We also did a partnership with Rovio on it to get it distributed onto all the Angry Birds users. Juice Cubes today has around 25 million downloads and generated around $18 million. So that's a good success for the Thai community as well.
Okay, great. So she just handed me a note with her phone number and said, I'll meet you in the back after the, no, just kidding. Actually, we're apparently under a little bit of time pressure here. So, it just changed from 30 minutes to 11 minutes left. All right, so why don't we, Vincent, what does an app developer and Akamai have to do with one another? Why are you here?
You know, a lot of things, we're talking about engagement, right, and quality users. What Akamai does for a lot of the mobile app developers here is basically making sure that your app works. It's hard enough already to acquire users, but I think the harder part is the fact that developing good apps is, putting the time in, is also making sure it works and it loads and all the things that you would think about performance acceleration, especially in markets like in Southeast Asia, where you have high latency environment. Mobile network is not always dependable. And that's where Akamai adds a lot of value in making sure that we can help the app ecosystem and getting that over there. In addition to the fact that you have a lot of multimedia content, whether it's video to social, a lot of sharing of high volume multimedia content, we offload a lot of that, making sure that we can deliver that. A lot of e-commerce sites are coming up in mobile space as well. We want to make sure that it doesn't go down, and having a CDN to provide that from a global scale, it all takes a long way. You only have one chance. Once you get your app up and running, if that performance isn't there, people are going to churn.
So you're kind of like the backbone of apps.
We're backbones of games, different multimedia apps, in addition to looking at e-commerce nowadays to make sure that we're able to prioritize queuing. A lot of people don't realize that CDN is also used for making sure that the transactions can happen.
Kuno, you're from one of the most well-known Thai content provider companies. Your company has transformed a lot in the past few years. How have you guys adapted to this new app economy? What are some of the things that you guys are doing, and how are you guys looking at monetization in 2016?
Well, if we look at a little bit, Mono has been always in the forefront of new technologies and new type of digital business, right? So basically, we evolved from a premium SMS company. Earlier, we were the first online website games in 1999. It was too early. And then we have the largest website in Thailand, one of the largest. And then we came to digital media, right? Digital TV. So if you look at it, what have we done to adapt to the app business? That we have been really build our apps more as a leverage to our content or our existing business. We haven't gone for startups like games, like or other kind of startups that are going on around, because we have grown to be such a large company that a startup environment doesn't match us, right? But then we have a lot of media, we have a lot of content. So we have apps that would be interacting with our TV channel, for instance. App that we would be delivering contents from our magazines, from our rich media contents, from our other contents like horoscope, fortune tellers, stuff like that. So basically we have been, rather than building an app that is not that's about things that we don't know about, more than to use the app power to deliver more content and leverage more from media to the audience, right? And we use that to monetize in different business models that apps allows us to.
What's the most challenging aspect of monetizing here in Thailand?
If you compare to the States or other countries that are more advanced, I think would be the credit card usage, especially with Android phones, right? In iOS, there would be more, it's more possible, but then it's still a small percentage of people who are buying stuff in-app, right, or download from the App Store. So what we have done is really that that's why we said that we have leveraged more into the current business. So our business model has been more in monetizing from the same way that we have used to. I mean, from the same business models, advertising or interacting through our media. And the same way we charge for content through other media. Like, for instance, like Amazon would charge e-commerce through their e-commerce platform, but use app as an extension. So that would be the way we have gone around it, rather than to try to monetize directly through app stores.
Mr. Junde, you guys know a little bit about the App Store economy. You guys know, and I mean, your whole business is built on market intelligence. I mean, what can you tell, for example, an app developer out there who doesn't have, you know, the means to get himself into a top 20 or a top 10 position? I mean, what's the hope for them in using, you know, in this app economy? I mean, how can they succeed?
Okay, so I think in the past few years, a lot of developers were aiming for the US market or the biggest Western markets. But now it's also time to look at Asia. So one thing is you can get to the top 20 of markets that are growing fast, that are on a huge growth path, because you want to pick your battles. The US could be the biggest market in terms of store revenue, but it's also requires the highest amount of market spend. So there are a lot of other markets that are growing very fast in terms of number of users, especially on Android. You could also adapt your app to monetize in a different way. For instance, using banner ads or incentivized video or things like that. So there are a lot more opportunities in the world that you can just apply a different approach to it.
Jakob, what would you say to, you know, a guy out there who's developing his app and, you know, I mean, he doesn't have millions of dollars to spend on user acquisition or even tens of thousands of dollars, right? I mean, what do you tell to the guy who wants to, you know, who's living his dream right now, paying money to be here and listen to you? I mean, what advice do you have for him?
There are two ways to go. Like, they're either that you go the full indie way and make something truly unique that Google and Apple will love. There's a very small chance of it, but actually the virality, the charting, it still works. You can still do something. It is, however, really, really limited. The chances are small. They're more secure, but will take a little bit more, actually development time, not necessarily money, is to go after building a game that will monetize the user. So when the user comes in, they keep spending over time. Because if you can get them to do that, you can actually do the user acquisition. If you can just prove the numbers are there, you don't need to spend a few $1 million on user acquisition. It's easy to get the money for that if you can just prove that your LTV, CPIs are right.
How much money do you need to spend to know?
We, on test games, we spend $5,000 to $10,000 to really make sure that the game actually that it has the right retention and that it has the right monetization. So yes, it's a lot. When we started out Juice Cubes, we did it for $1,000, I think, just to make sure you have enough data to understand it.
Kuno, I mean, do you guys spend $5,000, $10,000 on media, or do you just put it in your own media?
That's a good question. Well, basically, I think it's a mix, right? We do buy advertising to acquire users for our apps, right? That's definite. But then it depends on which app. If the app is very content-driven, we would buy the users, make sure that they engage, and we can keep the users on the platform, right? If it's a branded product, like for instance, we have an app that is interactive with our TV. So basically, if the user comes and check it at the right time that the show is going on, and you get a prize, you can download like some prizes out there, and then if you accumulate enough points, you can exchange for some things that our sponsors give us. For example, like you can exchange for a chicken at KFC, for instance, right? So basically, for that app, it is a lot more that we use our media to brand it, right? To make a lot of branding, make a lot of noise, so that people are like, oh yeah, it's time to check, right? For that, we also acquire through advertising, but then not as much as the apps that are really relying on the apps on its own.
There's one thing that I could also mention, aside from purchasing traffic. This is a trend that I noticed recently in countries like China and Korea. Because if you look at China, maybe Tencent and NetEase are taking up maybe 80% of revenue. That's not a lot for the other publishers. The other publishers don't have much revenue and don't have that much money to spend on UA. So what they do recently, they partner with a lot of entertainment companies who hold big IPs. So what they do, they have a big TV show, they have a big game, they release together with the same characters. So this drives generic traction, generic traffic.
So that's basically something that you guys would be able to help.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
help yourself and help some developers, right?
Yes.
To use your platform and grab quick market share.
And just one thing, I agree with Jacob on the numbers. I think if you have like $1,000, you can start getting the grab of whether the apps really works. Does it have like a retention ratio that is proper to go on?
So, Vincent, why do you disagree with them?
I don't disagree with it. I just shake my head, like, you know, just kind of.
I saw you shaking your head like you didn't.
I agree, you know. I
You
just shake
agree?
my head and just kind of get your attention. But, you know, going back to that, I think going back to IP rights, you're probably right about that. The fact that, you know, my previous experience was really getting apps on the app stores with media companies, with Viacom before. One of the advantages for branded content is you're actually able to call the app stores and be able to get your brand featured. We all know the real estate on a featured placement, whether it's a Google Play or Apple App Store. And that's a valuable area. I'm sure, Mono, you guys speak with the Apples of the world and the Google of the world, and that's something that's undeniable. You know, for startups, it's much harder to do that, but having that IP and be able to go after that, you know, might be a one way to actually get your, you know, organic growth. Is just making sure that your app's out there. In addition to, it's also incorporating what's important. You have to remember you're also building apps on a device and an ecosystem that they need to care about some of the tech that they want to basically push out to their customers. So if Apple's coming out with new features on their phones, likewise with the Google Android platform, you might want to consider some of the things and features to be incorporated into your app so you can get featured.
So when I was speaking earlier, basically, I mean, 2015 was the year of basically, let's call it the install, right? I mean, everyone was going crazy buying installs, and a lot of these ad networks are making a shitload of money from, you know, guys like you. 2016, it looks like a very different picture, right? Give me, each of you, 30 seconds about what is the outlook for you in 2016, and what are, you know, some of the key things that you see will make you guys more successful.
To sum it up, 2014-15, you only cared about how many users you got into the game. After they got into the game, you stopped caring. What we learned a lot from our Japanese, Chinese markets, where you actually start real live operations and really caring about the user once they get into the game. Have proper support, have proper sales. Make sure that the people that are playing your game actually starts enjoying it. Make sure you are there. Spend a little bit of resources making them happy, because users get more and more expensive to buy, so you might as well treat the ones you already have very nicely.
I have to concur with that. I think the analogy I would give is that, you know, everybody building an app these days, you're running a service. It's a service-based economy, like this hotel, like everyone running around here 24/7. Your app is a service. One denial is like, you know, you don't work 9 to 5. It's actually 24/7. You know, a player can be playing in the middle of the night, you need to be able to service them. In 2016, you know, we talk about vanity data. That's a lot where your fundraising goes on. But what it comes back down to, the fact that you're a mom and pop shop for a startup, you want to make sure that, you know, you value the customers that are coming in there. You know, similar to what Jacob was saying, you know, you want to make sure that you're sticky. You know, you have to make sure whatever you're doing for them is actually very personalized to some extent, and that's why segmentation that, you know, we talked about throughout the day, it's very important, and start grouping them and understanding that. So think again, you're a service, and run it like a service instead of, you know, just a mobile app.
Yes, I think it's, for us, it's value. We want to focus that the app does provide a value, the right value proposition for the customer, right? So before it was like we put the cost was not as expensive as today, so we can just throw out apps to test the market, and whichever one works or think we work, we go on. And sometimes we don't monitor as closely to see which one works or doesn't work, right? But now it's more expensive, and we have learned experience that they leave, like, could be really quick. You earn 100,000 downloads today, but then in 7 days you only have like 1,000 using your app, right? So now we really focus that the app really has a value to the consumer. They really use it, and then we grow a slower pace, but with more quality users.
I think 2016 will be the year for Asia. Because if you look at the past 2 decades, the US and Western countries have been leading internet innovation in terms of products, business models. Why? Because they have the largest internet population. Today, Asia is huge. Why? Asia's market is huge because now Android phones can be $100 and they can still be very good. A lot of Asia now has the biggest mobile internet population. So with this, Asia should be able to lead a lot of business innovation, O2O, mobile O2O, and mobile internet. So I expect to see a lot more from Asian companies innovating.
Me too. I agree.
And I would now like to invite to the stage Sampath of GMASA to present the tokens of appreciation to our terrific panelists.